It's showtime!
Yo, 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 what is going on, Patriots Nation? It's I, your science guy, and truly a science guy this week. I'm at a conference where I'm studying the metabolism in cellular systems. I just came off winning an award for best poster, but yet I'm still a fuller-time sports fan. I'm currently at the Holiday Inn in Tampa, the Hotel Motel Holiday Inn, and I'm here again with my guy, Aiden Hauser, and we keep running it back, and we keep looking for signs of optimism, and they're not coming.
No, it's becoming harder and harder to do this segment every week, Soor. I'm getting really sad.
As the title of this episode says, the London Bridge truly did fall down.
Yes,
and This is that moment where you kind of go from thinking this is a bad team that just needs to get better in a few places to there's less that I would keep than get rid of on this team, which is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think the pulse is around the Patriots fan base, and how do you think the pulse is in Foxborough?
I mean, I think there's obviously still hope just with how Drake May is playing, but I think for the most part, like, just kind of fed up, kind of angry. It's just like everyone's blaming each other for everything. The wide receivers aren't happy. They're posting all these little pouty, weird things on Instagram. Mayo's just not thinking about what he's saying at like the podium at press conferences. There's just no accountability, it seems like. So it's just like it just very not Patriots like. Because I mean, I feel like we were always very professional in how we went about things, and now it's just not. It's just a mess, and it's just really dramatic and dumb.
Yeah, when your rookie quarterback is showing more professionalism behind the mic than your coach, it's an issue.
Mm-hmm.
And that really is what's happening. I'm just going to go straight into this. It's the Mayo era is just off to a terrible start, and it's not just the play. It's the handling of everything. Everything was a tight ship in New England, even when they were losing.
Mm-hmm.
And there was all this commentary on the offseason of how Mayo's a player's coach. Mayo is going to have the locker room in a way that Belichick didn't. Belichick never called his players soft behind the mic. He might have said they have to execute, and that the team has to retool and replan, and that people need to be accountable. But he never called them soft. Never questioned their competitiveness, and I think it's a terrible thing to do when your team is fighting tooth and nail week in and week out to try to salvage something out of a terrible season. At this point, so many of these players have seen 1, 2, 3 losing seasons in a row. You gotta do better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been pretty like back and forth on him. I know when he was first officially our head coach, I was like, all right, I guess we'll see how it is. Like, he's been a Patriot his whole career, and like he was a good Patriot, so maybe he's got some coaching. And then like that first win was like awesome, and then it's just slowly gotten worse from there with just not knowing how to talk in press conferences, talk about his players. Also, like a defensive minded coach is just kind of tough in today's era of just football. It's just there's so many offensive masterminds that are like just crushing it, and it's more of an offensive game than his defensive game now. So it's like I think that was just kind of just a tough thing too.
And I think it was the timing of hiring a defensive coach. Like the entire problem last year was the offense, and you thought, and somehow Kraft thought the solution to the offense is taking away the best defensive mind in history and replacing him with his protege.
Mm-hmm.
We need an offensive-minded head coach, or we need a better offensive coordinator. I don't think Alex Van Pelt is bringing what he needs to out of Drake May. It's a lot of the same conservative play calling. I've seen very little in terms of aggression, and Drake May is a quarterback that likes to go deep. We've seen what he can do at times.
Mm-hmm.
Yet Van Pelt has had him sticking to a dink and dunk offense. And what ends up happening here is, you get a couple, you can sustain those like 12 play 80-yard drives every so often, but sometimes you just got to go get those chunk plays. And a lot of the narrative of this game is rightly on the defense, but there was also not much offensively after the 10 points, and it wasn't really much to do with anything Drake May did wrong. It was drops, it was bad play calling, a mix of stuff. And then, of course, if you have a defensive-minded head coach and your defense isn't playing well either, I don't know what is there to salvage. And maybe the temporary stopgap is going to be firing DeMarcus Covington, because if you want to push the blame on the DC, that is a place you can go and see how that goes. Because if Mayo is going to play that kind of big picture head coaching role, he needs someone good on defense. But Belichick was able to kind of be head coach because he also had a good defensive staff that could kind of manage the minutia.
Right.
I don't know. What's your thought on the locker room, the sidelines?
I don't know. I just think, like I said, just with how Mayo's handling everything, with how Van Pelt's handling everything, I just think the whole organization is just like crumbling. Where I know a lot of people are just like, oh, Bill's gone. Like, there's not that, I don't know, stone cold personality there. Like, people are a lot more, I don't know, free or relaxed. Like maybe Bill was what was needed. I don't know. It's just, yeah, like I said, very unprofessional, very no accountability. It's just a mess. I'm pretty upset and frustrated. I was one of the people that's like, okay, maybe Bill being gone is just like a new reset, might be a good thing, and now I'm kind of second guessing that.
Yeah. And I obviously, looking back, if I could pull the strings, I would love it if there's a situation that could have worked out where Belichick could have been the coach and not the GM.
Yeah.
Or at least, my ideal setup would have been this. Belichick is the coach and is the GM in charge of defensive talent. And we have another co-GM that's in charge of offensive talent, because Belichick did fine in terms of acquiring defensive players. It's not a roster problem on the defense right now. It just happens to be that a lot of our best players are injured. But, I mean, he drafted Gonzo, which was a big hit. But people forget, he also drafted Uche. He's drafted Duggar. He drafted Barmore. He signed Godshaw. Like, there were a lot of the core of our defense and the best parts of our defense were brought in by Belichick. He drafted Keon White. And so all this flack that goes into, a couple of offensive miscues, maybe with the right attitude and consultation, they could have, obviously there are there's the N'Keal Harry, the Cole Strange, like there are some big whiffs there, but it's not like Elliott Wolf is doing anything groundbreaking. This draft, other than Drake May, has been horrendous.
Yeah, and I think, I don't know, I want to give him some time too. I mean, it was like was that his first time ever doing something like that? I can't remember if he was anywhere before us or what his role was.
Packers, I think.
Was he?
Yeah. I think this is the first time as like a full-on GM.
Okay.
But he's been in like staffs for multiple teams. So
right.
And at that point and maybe the onus of all this goes on Kraft, right? Like who's putting the people that are in charge?
Mm-hmm.
and at some point, Kraft is going to have to start taking some of the accountability.
Right. Yeah, and I wonder what that's going to look like with Mayo. It's going to start with this. Like, if Mayo fails, what are they going to do? Are they just going to keep him around because, like, no, we have faith in him. He was in the Patriots organization. Like, we picked him. Or is he going to, like, fire him and then that look bad on him? I feel like it's already going to be like a lose-lose because, I mean, I really don't have any hopes anymore for Mayo to really turn it around. I think we've kind of just seen what his personality is, and kind of how he's going to run things.
Yeah, it's some of, like, a statement like that is almost irredeemable for me. It's just, these are the kind of things that you just can't let the rest of the NFL know that there's this level of dysfunction on your team.
I mean, he could have just said something like the Jacksonville just outplayed us and they were tougher than us, but
which is true.
Make it a positive on them rather than tearing down your team, you know.
And again, Belichick will say things like, "We need to improve. We need to execute. We need to plan. Our defense needs to play better." But what you can't say is that the team didn't play hard. Because the Patriots, these players do give it their all for 4 quarters. It's just not working. You have teams that have this happen year after year, and their their coaches are not saying these kinds of things to them. It's a process. Dan Campbell had Detroit teams that couldn't put up points, and now they're a conference championship contender. The Panthers have been bad time and time again, but you don't hear things like that coming out of the locker room. And then there's just the obvious defensive miscues. And so to that, let's zoom back in and talk about what actually happened on Sunday. What went well for you? What didn't? I mean, seem some pretty obvious answers here, but I think we should still kind of discuss.
Yeah, and I feel like it's just pretty repetitive just of what we've seen the last few games, and it's honestly probably going to – our answers are probably going to be pretty much the same throughout the whole season, I'm betting, just because I think we kind of just already shown who we are. But, I mean, good, again, Drake May, like, he's the brightest spot on our team, which is a really good thing. Like, our first-round pick, our quarterback, like, that's what matters the most. Like, he looked good. He moves around well in the pocket. He threw, again, another 2 touchdowns. Could have had a pick, but he didn't, so that was nice. And I mean, his touch on the deep ball is awesome, and like he spreads the ball around, which is awesome. He just looks like a pro. Like I'm already sold on him. The bad was our run defense was so bad. Like just the defense as a whole was pretty bad. Just got Tank Bigsby ran all over us. Brian Thomas Jr. We couldn't stop him. Gonzo that was kind of his welcome to the NFL moment, I think, was finally this game. Like he definitely looked like he got owned a bit. And then meh. I don't even know if we have a meh. I feel like there was just a lot more bad than there was really any meh.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that's a fair answer.
Like nothing went good. Like Demario Douglas leaves, he's sick, and it's just like from there, nothing happened well.
Yeah. I'm gonna say, obviously, yeah, I'm gonna say Drake May good as well. I'm also gonna give 2 more goods. Hunter Henry is like the pulse of this offense. He consistently catches the balls that come his way. He consistently runs good routes. He consistently gets open. Just unbelievably reliable and the one of the only pulses this offense has in terms of weapons. Obviously Drake May. Just, what you said, it's despite how badly the offensive line played, he only got sacked twice, and that was because of his pocket scrambling. he made plays with his feet. He was the leading rusher again, which with only 18 yards. So that's also an indictment on the offensive line. And then my third good is going to go to the guy whose jersey is coming my way in a couple of days, Bryce Behringer. We have the best punter in the league, y'all.
That's such a terrible thing to brag about, too.
Long of 66, 4 punts, 209 yards, average of 52.25, and 3 of the 4 in the 20. And at this point this season, he's averaging over 50 yards a punt. He's first in the league in punts inside the 20. And his long is 69. This is the best punting we've had in New England, maybe since I've been a Patriots fan. Like, there were some days of, like, really good Jake Bailey. And yes, this is what we have come to. I am critically analyzing the quality of the punting on our team because we have such a large sample size. He has punted 36 times this season. And we've only played 7 games. And if we didn't turn over the ball so much, we'd be punting more.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I hate that. I hate that. Yeah.
Bad, I've got a bunch. I've got both sides of the running game. The defense was terrible. And let's bear in mind, Travis Etienne wasn't even playing this game. This was a short-handed Jacksonville rushing attack. And something that I'm sure Belichick is disgusted by, that a team had the gall to be able to run the ball 17 times in a row against us and get away with it and actually get results out of it. It was pathetic. I'm also going to say, I'm not going to say the entire special teams because, again, Behringer and Sly were great, but
oh yeah, that kick return touchdown.
Yeah, that was a big part of why we lost this game. People forget that this game was within reach before that happened.
Yeah, huge momentum changer for sure.
And again, it's so un-Patriots to allow this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know what to do with that. It's special teams has never been a problem for us in this capacity. We've always had good leaders on the field. You know, not having Slater is definitely a big issue. And who's our special teams coach? I mean, I think it is Slater.
I think you're right. I think it is.
But again, it's that element of, we're seeing another case of, it's not guaranteed to immediately translate as a coach just because you were a good player.
Right.
And Slater, I want to give time. He's in my book, he's the best special, like in terms of being like a gunner and like that type of special teamer. I think he's the best of all time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he has a lot to offer. But I do think there is something to be said about, you know, maybe he can be a special teams assistant, but we need a real special teams coach.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, this kind of stuff just can't happen. And then, I mean, the offensive line, I'm going to put in my mad category again because, yes, they were really bad, but we have nobody.
They played the best that a really bad line can play.
Yeah. We have exactly one player that people should be familiar with. Vidarian Lowe, we were kind of familiar with from last year, but that was a disaster.
Right.
And then it's dregs. It's practice squad level players. It's just unacceptable. I mean, Ben Brown, DeMontre Jacobs, and Michael Jordan are starters for our team. These players wouldn't even make the practice squad on some of the teams in the NFL.
Yeah. And yet we're throwing them out and saying, go win us a game, boys.
Yeah. And that's why I'm done saying things like the offensive line sucks. I'm not gonna fault the players for this. This goes on Kraft, this goes on Mayo, this goes on Clem. This does not go on the players.
Mm-hmm.
And so, speaking of the fact that we have a terrible roster and other teams do not, we are playing with Ben Brown and Michael Jordan. Meanwhile, the Chiefs, who are already undefeated, just signed one of the best receivers in history in DeAndre Hopkins.
Mm-hmm.
What was your initial reaction to this, and what do you think this means for us?
I guess I was surprised. I was surprised that the Chiefs traded for him. I've seen a lot of rumors, obviously, just with all the injuries and stuff. They need another playmaker. I do think Hopkins is more erring towards like kind of obviously the last leg of his career, like headed towards a little more washed category. But I still think even an almost washed DeAndre Hopkins is like an improvement over a lot of the guys that they're throwing the ball to. So I do think it's a win. And if anyone can like at least pull out a little bit of life out of D Hop, it's Mahomes.
Yeah.
But I mean, for us, it's just I hate how we have shown like no aggression. We did towards Ayuk, but I mean like at the beginning of the free agency period, Mayo's like, we're gonna be spenders, like we're gonna spend a lot, and it's like here we are, like hardly spent anything, and now we're sitting with the most cap space in the league, and it's very evident, it's very clear that we do because we have hardly any talent on our team.
Yeah, and even the money we did spend was not very well spent. I feel like because we couldn't make the big acquisitions, we ended up going for a bunch of small things. Chuks Okorafor has been terrible. Nick Leverett is he? I don't know if he's off the team. I think he's off the team, right?
Yeah, I think they cut him.
Yeah, Nick Leverett's no longer a Patriot, nor should he be.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, KJ Osborne, he caught a touchdown, but he hasn't done much.
Gibson hasn't done much either.
Yeah. And with Gibson, I think it's more of a usage thing. I do think he's talented.
Yeah.
Taki's been injured all season.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's our free agency. And it's, what guys like we let guys like Tyron Smith go within the division. And we made no moves in the places that we actually needed to make them. And so we head into this trade deadline kind of having a lot of needs.
Yeah.
And you mentioned wanting to talk about this a little bit. So I'll let you kind of get on your soapbox here. What do we even do when there's this much to address?
I think, yeah, if it were me, what I would like is, I think I was telling you earlier, I do think we got to fork out just the dough to T. Higgins. It seems like it's very very rare that like a player of his caliber hits the free agency market, especially at his age. I think he's like 25, 26, like he's still in his prime. Even if it means like us trading away like a pick just to secure him and then just sign him to like a long-term extension, I think that would be ideal. Our track record for drafting receivers is abysmal. I can't remember the last good receiver we drafted is probably like Edelman in the 6th is all I can really think of. And I mean, I just don't think it would be wise just to keep trying this carousel of maybe we'll draft a guy when we have the money, we know how good T. Higgins is, and we know he's unhappy in Cincinnati. Like, why not? And then just draft O-line and just depth, like in our secondary in the draft. That's kind of where I've really been leaning. I'm sure other people have different opinions, but I think we got to get something on this offense just to keep May happy and May's development going. But yeah, I'm interested to hear your thoughts because, I mean, I think the deadline's first week of November. And if Mayo said we're going to be big spenders free agency is, and if he's not a big spender in this trying to make some trades happen or something. Like, I'm going to be pretty, I don't know, disappointed. And it's like, it also just kind of shows him that he's not really going to be a man of his word. He's gone back on a lot of things he said already.
Yeah. And what we do, like, I fully agree that it's a tough situation when our roster is in a position where we don't have much to sell.
Right.
And the players that we do have that teams would want to trade for, I want to keep.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there is some room to play. I think KJ Osborne is a player that's shown some ability to function well in other offenses. And I don't think teams are going to fault him too much for not doing the same in New England. I think the same goes with Kendrick Bourne. I kind of like the idea of at the receiver position, the Patriots being sellers and taking out some of the dead weight and creating room for making a T. Higgins type acquisition, and maybe getting some draft picks that can be included in a package for Higgins. And then you've got a lot of defensive capital, but there's not much that I would actually want to get rid of. We can see what kind of haul Josh Uche could fetch. Because we do, like, linebacker is a position that we do have some depth, especially once Bentley comes back. I think I would want to make it. I want to make at least one offensive line acquisition because yes, this team isn't going to contend, but we need to keep Drake safe and we need to see what this team can do. We need an NFL level player on the offensive line. And I can't believe I'm saying that when talking about an NFL team. But we currently have exactly one NFL level player on our offensive line.
And I don't even feel like it has to be like a superstar, just someone who's been in the league.
A decent guard who has started and allows pressure less than half the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, even in free agency coming up, I think Ronnie Stanley is going to be a free agent. I'm sure Baltimore will re-sign him. But what's tricky is like some of these like elite guys that like obviously we have the cap space for. No one wants to trade those guys. So then it's like we got to do something in the draft. But I mean, even then it's like then we just draft Cole Strange in the first when there's other guys that are way better than him.
But tackle is a place where you can get people in the draft. And so I don't hate like getting a little bit of depth at guard and keeping the tackle for the draft. Because like you look at how some of the really good like tackle acquisitions in past drafts have gone. Like Joe Alt's having, for instance, he was someone that I'm like, if we're going to do the not Drake May thing, which I was not for, I absolutely wanted us to go get Drake. But if we were gonna do that, then Joe Alt would be like was the first guy on my mind. If we should get a generational talent at tackle, you get these guys that can produce from day one. Broderick Jones in Pittsburgh is another example. Tyler Guyton in Dallas. There's a lot like tackles are something that can be addressed in the draft, and it's not a position where free agents are going to be at a manageable price.
Right.
But I'd say get a little healthier at guard, try to make a big acquisition at wide receiver because again, it's just not going to happen in the draft. We have tried and tried and tried and it's not working. Hulk, I'm almost ready to already call him a bust. If we're not going to use Tyquan Thornton the rest of the season, he's probably going to leave at the end. So if we're actually planning on not using him, I'm okay with trying to trade him too, because at any rate, he's out. Or we can try and see what he can do with Drake May and put him up against the Jets. And if we're going to trade him, throw the ball to him a couple times, up his trade stock, something. But the challenge in this lies in the fact that there's just so much to address. Because I could also see secondary being a good move. This is a lot of issues in terms of secondary depth. It's a tough state of affairs.
Yeah, I mean, not. We just have to do something. We have the money to do something, and they better do it instead of just saying that they're going to do it and then just be stingy and not do anything and be like, well, we like the guys we have. Like some big changes have to
possibly happen. Like the guys they have. They called them soft.
I know, but I just don't get how can they just look at that roster and be like right before the season starts and be like, yeah, we're good to roll out with this. Like I don't understand them.
Especially on the line end of things. It was shocking to me that they looked at that and they were like, well, this is a great environment to throw out Drake May in.
Yeah.
It's frustrating when you know you're like at this point, and I know it's only been 2 games, so I really don't want to jump the gun here, but everything I've seen from May points to him being our franchise quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Literally everything. And it's not just the play.
How he handles himself.
The demeanor. He's a Patriot.
Yeah, how he handles himself. I mean, a lot of people would be like, "Oh yeah, he went to North Carolina." Like, but it's you look at North Carolina, it's like they're not really known for their winning in their football program, and it's like he played behind horrible O-line play, so it's just like it seemed like it's not gonna be like a Caleb Williams situation where he goes from just like being on top of the world to actually facing like some adversity. Like May's lived in that, so I think that's what I'm kind of happy about in a sense. Not like I'm not happy that we suck, but I mean it's also good that this isn't something he's not used to. So I think that's also like a huge reason why he handles it well. It's like, well, it's all he's known for his few years in college is like playing with just some average Joes.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be interesting to see what they do. I think we're kind of in agreement here. Do something.
Do something big. We make the fans, I don't know, trust you, instill some faith in us here.
Yeah, we can't keep stacking together incremental things because little things need to build up to something.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to accumulate draft picks, they should be part of a trade package for someone, not just to accumulate draft picks. If you're accumulating capital and you're saving cap space, you save money to spend money.
Yeah, and I mean, like, it's clear that we're in a rebuild. Like, you got to be aggressive in a rebuild. You can't just like take your time and be really like. You got to be a buyer, and you got to be like, just put all your chips on the table for like some of these guys. That's just how it's got to be in a rebuild like this, and in a competitive league that I don't know where the window of winning is just so short with these contracts and everything. Like they gotta do something.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's gonna be interesting to see what they actually do.
Mm-hmm.
But believe it or not, there's football on Sunday, and the tone in which I say this statement, declines every week. But we have to go and watch a game, and as a Patriots fan, I will watch the entire game. I will suffer through all of it, and we'll see. It's a home game, so And the only interesting storyline here is that it is where Drake May got his very, very first NFL action.
That is true. Yeah.
Against that scary, scary Jets line.
Mm-hmm.
Where, and the first part of this is going to be very difficult, and the second part of this is not going to be very difficult. Where can we hurt them? And where can they hurt us?
I mean, I think the only way, the way we've hurt teams just in the last few games, just with May, has been just when the play and when the pocket collapses, and he kind of has to just improvise. May's a really good improviser, and it's like it's really hard for really any defense to kind of keep playing when he's scrambling and rushing and just kind of doing all this weird little just improv stuff. So I mean, I think in a weird way that's if May plays well and does his improvising and scrambling well, I think we'll get some big chunk plays. But I mean, unfavorable, it's like it's really just everywhere. Like our defense can't cover both DeAndre Hopkins, Devontae Adams, and Garrett Wilson. Our run game couldn't stop Tank Bigsby, so why are we going to be able to stop Breece Hall? Like Aaron Rodgers, like he's still an okay quarterback. Like he's obviously not MVP Rodgers we saw a few years ago, but like he still has the mind and like the ability. He's still trying to piece things together. So it's like we have a lot more unfavorable than favorable. I wouldn't even say like May's scrambling ability is favorable, but I mean, yeah, I don't know. And then it's like even with the Patriots, you could at least go back to like, well, our coaching's favorable, and it's like even that's a mess. Like our coaching sucks. So it's like we're kind of a dumpster fire right now. I really don't know what we have as favorable.
I think there are aspects of the pass game where we can hurt him. If we can get some more deep plays going for May, I mean, he's shown the ability to get some chunk plays going with Booty. He's been able to kind of attack the middle of the field with Henry. I think Henry's gonna be able to hurt them as he has. Henry and Hooper have. And Hooper has quietly been a very good tight end too. I would be interested in having him for another season. I don't know if we sign him for 1 or 2 years or what, but this is a tight end duo that's actually working. Much better partner for Henry than Smith was. And honestly, a better partner for Henry than Gesicki was too. I think the fit is just there. So at that point, I think this team can. I think this team can start to be more aggressive. Use Drake May's tools. You know, the one thing we'll be able to see is that, like, obviously the Jets were getting pressure like every other play, and I don't think that's going to change. But maybe Drake May's scrambling ability can actually make them pay for stacking the box to a certain degree. This isn't something where I think we can hurt them, but this is something where I think we need to play better. Ramondre needs to have a good game for this to go any kind of well. Drake May can't be our leading rusher for a third game in a row.
No,
it's embarrassing. As far as where they can hurt us, the run game, the pass game, the secondary,
in what ways can they not hurt us?
Line. Like, again, I think their secondary is, other than Sauce Gardner, I think their secondary is a little thin. It didn't matter against us the first time, but maybe with Drake May, it can matter more. I think their defensive line is going to kill our offensive line. We have somehow gotten worse on personnel. We've gotten less healthy. That is just what it's going to be. Drake May's not going to have a lot of time to throw. He's going to have to throw quickly. He's going to have to keep them honest with some deep plays, and see what he can do there.
Yeah.
Another place we can hurt them. We can absolutely flip the field with Behringer.
Our GOAT.
Absolutely our GOAT. Really, my goal for this game is that Tyler Conklin doesn't play like Travis Kelce against us.
That was so gross.
Have some other way of hurting us.
I know. Well, it's like he doesn't need to play like Travis Kelce because they also got Devontae Adams now.
Yeah. It was reassuring to see just how, like, the Jets are a team in turmoil too. Like, Devontae Adams did not have a good first game back. The Jets are 2-5.
They're a bad team, but they're
not as bad as us.
Not as bad as us.
They also have coach issues. I mean, they don't have a head coach. I mean, although at this point I'm doubting whether we have one either. So, so at this point, how do we actually see this game shaking out?
Are we home or away?
We're home.
Oh, no, I'm kidding. That doesn't change anything. I still think the Jets are going to come in here and beat us. It's inevitable. I'm really out on hope. Like, till we start piecing together some wins, which I really doubt is going to happen. I'm going to keep assuming. I'm just going to keep predicting that we're going to lose because, I mean, Jacksonville was the most winnable game we've had. And, like, now I'm not even sure we're going to win this. I don't even know how the game against Tennessee is going to look, and they're a mess. Like, yeah, but I don't know. I'd say 31-21 Jets. I mean, we've been getting put up
points. Oh, well, yeah, man.
I mean, we've been scoring a little bit of points, but I'm like, man, like Jacksonville just what do they put up on us? 34, 32, something
32,
like
yeah.
There's no reason why the Jets can't and won't do that. Even us at home. So I don't know. I'd say 31-21 Jets.
Yeah. I'm going to say 34-17 Jets.
Oh.
I think Breece Hall will have a fantastic game.
400 rushing yards.
Yeah. He's gonna break Adrian Peterson's single game rushing record.
And a single game receiving record too.
What is the single game rushing record? I know it's
like was it the high 200s or something ridiculous?
I think it was 296.
Yeah.
Yeah, 296. Yeah, Breece Hall's gonna break that.
In the first half.
I mean, if Tank Bigsby is gonna have this kind of game against us, like Breece Hall is a very, very high quality running back.
Yeah.
So that's not fun, but I think Drake May is going to continue to show promise. I think we're going to have drive stall because of dropped passes. We don't have that Belichickian element of, oh, we're going to be able to learn and adjust. I just don't see those adjustments being made. At least last year's team, towards the end of the year, you could see them kind of learning and playing to the best of the ability of what they had.
Mm-hmm.
I just haven't seen any element of, oh, well, we messed this up in the last game. At least we improved in that facet this game. Mm-hmm. There hasn't been any of that.
No.
And it's not something that Mayo has had to do yet. And this is the reason why you can't just take a defensive coordinator / ex-player. And even like, Mayo was the defensive coordinator, but how much coordinating was he doing with the best defensive mind in history as the head coach?
He was probably just shadowing, honestly.
Yeah. He had an easy job. And so I don't like, there's so many things you can learn from a loss like the Jacksonville loss, but I don't think right now we have it in us to learn those things.
Mm-mm.
And it sucks. I hate to be predicting losses, and I hate to say statements like, I don't know when our next win is going to come, and I don't know if our next win is going to come this season, because I was 100% convinced we were going to win this game against Jacksonville.
Coming into the season, I thought we were going to win 5 games. Like, I thought we were going to be not good, but better than a lot of people gave us credit for.
And after the Cincinnati game, I thought we were going to win 9. I did not think that was going to be the only game we'd win.
Yeah.
But hey, we've got our quarterback. We've got our trade deadline coming up. There are things on the horizon. Whether they are good things is up to Mayo and Wolf. Lots changing. But regardless of what happens, we'll be here breaking it down for you next week.
All the good, all the bad, mostly bad.
And hopefully I'll be coming on with a little wardrobe change. I'll have my Bryce Behringer jersey on. So we'll have our beacon of hope. I know he's going to have a good game no matter what.
He's our goat, our beautiful, our sweet Behringer. Our prince.
That's where we are, Patriots Nation. We're worshiping our punter. Our best player. Drake may be our franchise quarterback. See, I told you I'd find one. But our best player is Bryce Behringer.
He better be a 99 in Madden next year. I'm not buying it.
He's making the Hall. He's absolutely making the Hall.
Oh yeah.
Ray Guy, who? They're gonna call the Bryce Behringer Award.
That's what's up.
And on that note, we'll see you next week, Patriots Nation.
See ya.